Welcome to Skills for Life, a podcast about high-demand jobs that are shaping future opportunities. This show is brought to you by the North Shore Schools Foundation. I'm Kira Dorrian, your host and a North Shore mom. Let's get started. Well, today on the show, I get to speak with Donald Evans. He's the lead electrician for Snohomish County Solid Waste. Donald, welcome to the show.
Well, thanks, Kira, for having me.
I'm so excited to speak with you. We have not spoken to any electricians yet, and I know this is a really not just important job, but very much a job of the future, a job of the past, a job of the present. I mean, this is the job that never goes away. We always need you. So I'm really interested to hear a little bit about the profession and about what our students can be doing to set themselves up for success in this industry if they're interested. So can you start by just telling me a little bit about what it is that you do as the lead electrician for solid waste in Snohomish County?
Well, what I do is I take care of pretty much any of the electrical problems within our sites. Could be machines, it could be cameras, could be fire alarms. So just anything that goes down that's considered electrical, I take care of, I service, maintain, just try to keep everything running.
Right. And I'm curious, I don't know anything about this field. I just have to be super honest. So do you need to have a specific skill set for solid waste, or are these transferable skills where if you're an electrician, there's just jobs out there everywhere for you?
That is true. There's jobs everywhere for the electrical field. Anything from the distribution, which is installed, the conduits and the wiring, to storing the energy, and even to generating the power. So there's many different fields of electrical.
That's fantastic. So how did you get to where you are today? Tell me a little bit about your career path.
Well, my father was an electrician. My grandfather was an electrician. So it was kind of like I was at an early age interested in it. So I started in the field in high school, just helping out during the summertime, and then moved on to a 4-year class or a training. And from there, just kept going.
Wow, that's fantastic. So tell me a little bit about the trajectory for students. If someone's interested in this, I know they have to go through the apprenticeship program to get their license. So talk to me a little bit about what that looks like.
What they require is a 4-year apprenticeship now. And you go to school, usually nights, and you work during the day. So you're making a living as you're being trained to be an electrician.
How cool is that? I feel like there are very few professions out there like that, where you can actually get paid to learn your trade. That's amazing. And so what are they looking for in terms of accepting students into the apprenticeship program? Are there certain traits or qualities? Do they need a high school diploma? What kind of things are they looking for?
You do have to have a high school diploma and just interest in the trade. It's one of those things that I grew up in the field, so I really wanted to be in it. And I didn't want to go to college, but I wanted to learn something, learn a trade. That's the direction I headed.
So what kind of skills or specific educational strengths would a student need? Do they need to be focusing on math while they're in high school? Do they need to be thinking about their communication skills? Like, what kind of things should they be thinking about developing now before they graduate from high school?
Algebra is the number one because of the angles of when you bend conduit, you have to figure the dimensions, how to get an offset, how to make the pipe fit in place, how to make concentric bends. So that's where the math comes in.
Right. Oh, I would not be a good electrician then. Algebra and I were not friends. And so, so having a little bit of strength around the math skills. What about as this field is transforming? How do you see it looking different in 5 to 10 years? And will that impact what kids need to be thinking about right now in terms of maybe technology skills, that kind of thing?
The future of the electrical field is really unlimited. There's all kinds of new tech going on, generating and storing the electricity, the distribution. There's so many different ways of generating power now. You got wind power, solar, thermal, hydroelectricity, nuclear. They've experimented with tidal energy. There's all kinds of new ways of generating, and they're coming up with more ways of generating. And how to store it. The batteries, they're always changing the type of batteries. We can generate power, but storing it is where it's going to be at, and distribute it. How to get all these different powers tied into the grid so that we can use it.
And so is that going to impact the apprenticeship program then? Are they going to be, what they're learning now, is that going to shift into having to learn new ways of doing things as this starts to unfold?
There won't be any really relearning, and it will be just adding more to it because they're always going to have the types of generation for power.
I see. Wow. So I'm curious what you love about your job.
I just like the challenge because every day is really different. I can work on one thing, the next day it'll be something else. I might be working on fire alarm system, cameras. We have big compactor machines that are all computerized. We have charging stations. Every day is a different. It's never the same.
That's cool. Is there a lot of problem solving in your field as well?
Yes, there is. And a lot of times when it's always an electrical problem, they say. And so when we get to it and we find out it's not electrical, it's mechanical, but it always starts off electrical.
Why is that?
One of those things that the machines always take power. Something always has to generate or move the machine, and it's always the power first. And then from there you go to the hydraulics, pneumatics, but it's all controlled by electrical.
I see. So if students are listening to this and they're like, yes, I want to do that, maybe they love to tinker with electricity stuff at home. See how I said the fancy word, electricity stuff? If they're really into that, are there ways they can start doing this work now? Maybe internships or volunteer opportunities? What would you recommend?
Well, I worked a lot with my dad because he was an electrician, and I would go out with him on jobs. It's an interest that I just had from when I was young. That's where I was brought up in the electrical field. Troubleshooting, if you like to troubleshoot stuff, that's one of the biggest challenges I have is troubleshooting.
And so are there ways for students who maybe their dad's not an electrician or they don't know anybody who is, for them to be able to go out and volunteer and get some of these early skills developing while they're still in school?
There's not really anything you can go out and do when you're younger. You just have to have an interest in it and to know that this is where everything's controlled by, at this time, it's electricity. It starts with electricity and it goes from there. So
if you had your 18-year-old self in front of you and you wanted to give him some words of wisdom, what would you say? If you like a challenge, electrical is a challenge. It is ever changing. The future is unlimited. There's just so much you can do in this field. And it's not just electricity. You can do communications. There's a lot to it than just electricity. Well, Donald, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today so that we could get a peek into this field. I'm very sad to learn that my algebra skills might prevent me from opportunities, but I'm sure there's other kids out there that are crushing algebra and would be really excited to know that not only is this field available, but that they can get paid to learn it. I think that's just so incredible. So thank you so much for your time and your expertise today. You're welcome. Thank you for having me. We hope you'll join us again, and remember to hit subscribe to be notified about upcoming episodes. Join the conversation on our Facebook page, Build Skills for Life. That's Build Skills, the number 4, and then the word life. Are you interested in advertising as a sponsor for this podcast? Contact us at podcast@nsdfoundation.org. To learn more about the North Shore Schools Foundation, visit us at northshoreschoolsfoundation.org. Thanks for listening.